I think that the Illinois Fighting Illini can be a sleeper team in this year's March Madness tournament. Let me explain. So, obviously, Illinois hasn't had the season that they wanted to have after making a Final Four, not a Final Four, Elite Eight appearance last year with Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus Damask. They won the Big Ten tournament. They were great. Just ran into a UConn team that was better. But they lost pretty much their whole entire team. Had to fill them up completely new. And they've struggled, right? Not going to sugarcoat it. Hasn't been a great year. But they'll still be a 7 or an 8 seed, maybe a 9 in the tournament. And this man, I think, can help in carrying them because when they are at their peak, when they're playing their best, I think they can beat a 1 or a 2 seed. I believe so. Let me explain here. So this man's name is Kasparas Jakucionis. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jakucionis, 6'6" point guard from Lithuania, freshman. He is an absolute star. I can't believe that the college basketball world didn't cover him more coming in, because he's mocked in the top 5. And he should be, I think. I would take him in the top 5 if I were him. I think he is one of the top 3 most talented freshmen. I'd say he's ahead of Ace Bailey, but I'd say let's go safe and say top 5 most talented freshman in this year's class, and he obviously has a lot of upside being a 6'6" point guard. Now, watching him play, I've mainly only watched the Illinois games where they've played very good teams. I'm not a huge Big Ten basketball watcher, but I did watch the game yesterday where they played against the Michigan Wolverines, who Dusty May has done an amazing job in his first season, but they crushed them. And that was kind of a shocker after they got blasted by like 50 points at the Garden against Duke. But I'm a little less caring about that loss than other people might, because it's Duke, and as we'll see, Illinois has had a rough year, and they haven't always played their best. But when Kasparas, Jakucionis, and company are playing their best, I think you need to watch out for this Illinois Fighting Illini team because they can be very dangerous, I think. So we'll break down Jakucionis' game. He is a point guard who can do it all on the court. He's shooting a lot better from 3 than I was kind of predicting. He's shooting like 33%, which obviously isn't elite, but he takes some tough shots like, step back threes, sidestep threes, that type of stuff, because he can shoot over smaller point guards. Not very fast and athletic. He has sometimes tough time defending, but he's very tough. Seen him get on the floor a few times during games. And number 2 is that, he's deceptively athletic and he's crafty enough around the basket where he can finish over taller or faster defenders coming to block his shot or steal the ball. So yeah, obviously, I don't think he's even playing up to his full potential. And that's the scariest thing about this Illinois team. Obviously, with all sleeper teams, it could flop, right? Tremendously. And Illinois could go out in the first round to a 10 seed or a 9 seed and get blown out. Or get blown out by a 1 or a 2, which they have many times throughout the season. But I think that this team hasn't reached a ceiling yet. And I think we saw on Sunday that they are at least 20 points better than some really good teams when they play their ceiling. So I'll break down some of the key players in this. Obviously, you got Jakucionis. He's averaging 15.6 rebounds, 5 assists. I think he's very underrated because that's kind of insane for a freshman, and he's the best player on a tournament team. And I think more people should give recognition to that. Obviously, people are mocking him in the top 5, so not going to complain about that too much. Then you got Tomislav Ivisic. Ivisic, he's more of a stretch big, kind of like his brother. Shoots a lot of threes from what I've ascertained from watching him, but he's also a little bit stronger than his brother Big Z. He's averaging 13 points. Not an incredible rebounder, but he's 7 feet, so he's proven that he can bang down low with some guys. Kylan Boswell, I think, is a perfect glue guy for this team. He's not the star that many people were expecting Kylan Boswell to be when he went to Arizona, but I think he's a perfect role player. He's averaging 11 points per game. From when I've watched him, he plays good defense. Maybe he's fallen off in that category, but plays good defense generally, and gets a lot of offensive boards. He was crashing the glass yesterday as a 6'2" guard, getting offensive and defensive boards over really taller guys was so impressive to me. And we got another guy who is going to be an X factor for this team, Will Riley. Will Riley is like a 6'8", 6'9" freshman wing from Canada, 5-star guy who Brad Underwood brought in. And he's inconsistent, like many young freshmen are. But he's also really good when he plays to his ceiling. And he's very, skinny, but he's tougher than you think. Like, I saw him, he was playing defense, blocking shots. While this team has given up a few, 100-point games, which obviously isn't good, and might not be classified as great defensively, they have the size and the athleticism to be good defensively. So it's not like they're just a bunch of stiffs, like Riley's 6'9", Ivisic 7 foot, Jakucionis 6'6", Boswell 6'2", and can move. They got some guys that can play D, I think. They have quad 1 wins over Missouri, Arkansas, Wisconsin, Oregon, and Michigan. Arkansas and Oregon, I just put in quad 1 because both of them were ranked. Oregon was ranked 9th at the time, and Arkansas was ranked 19th. These are really good wins. They have 5 really solid wins, I would say. Obviously, you can look at the Arkansas one and be like, hey, they're really not that good. But I think it's still a solid win. So they've proven they can beat solid teams. Obviously, a lot of these were earlier in the year when they were playing better. But that is because of injuries. There's been a lot of injury health type things. Morez Johnson, who I really like as a player, Illinois State Player of the Year, and probably their best rebounder, is out for the year with a broken wrist. Just unfortunate. And that might kind of screw them over. But injuries and then health. I heard that they had a virus flying around the program. They've had guys driving up separately to games, playing through health, sickness, and stuff like that. But the good news is it seems as if that has passed. Everybody except Johnson, of course, was healthy for the Michigan game, and they showed out. And then missed shots. We'll see in the next slide. They have a bunch of guys that were projected to shoot well that aren't shooting well. But when you watch them, it just doesn't seem like there's a flaw in their shot. It just seems as if maybe it's a confidence issue or maybe they're just having a bad season. I don't know. But we'll talk about 3 guys here that will be X factors because if Illinois is going to make this run, it's not just going to be Jakucionis carrying them or Ivisic having a good game, and Boswell is going to do his thing regardless. It's these 3 guys that really need to step up. Mainly because all 3 of these guys have the potential to be impact players, I think. We'll start with Ben Humrickhouse, one of my favorite analysts, John Fanta. Shout out Fanta. he said that Rickhouse would be the next Dalton Connect, and I got really excited. But he's not the next Dalton Connect. Not even close. But he's not as bad as everybody is saying that he is. I just see a lot of stuff online about Rickhouse, like being terrible at basketball, which he's shooting a very low percentage from the field, and he's not shooting as he would want from three. But I just don't know. Whenever I watch him, it's like, yeah, he's missing some open shots, and he doesn't give you much on the defensive end. But he's a 6'9" 3 who can get hot from 3-point range and can rebound a little bit, as we've seen, with his size and strength. And like I heard that on a broadcast, the announcers stated that Rickhouse ran like a 4:30 mile, which was like the fastest in Illinois history. Like a 6'9" dude running a 4:30 mile. Maybe that's a little bit more impressive to me than it should be. But then got Trey White. I'm not typically a fan of these guys that have played 3 places in 3 years. He's played for USC and Louisville in the past, both of which were not great. Obviously, it's not great because he left. But hey, I'm all for a redemption story. And Trey White, even though he's been up and down this year, he's still averaging 10 points. His 3-point shot looks good. Same with Rickhouse. Like, they don't seem to have any structural flaws in their 3-point shot. And Trey White also can play good defense. He's another guy who's like 6'7", 6'8" wing. And then you got Will Riley, another 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" wing, who can streakily shoot. All these guys are streaky, is kind of the point that I'm making. But you know what they say about streakiness is that if it happens at the right time and you peak at the right time, if you get hot from 3, you make all your 3-point shots, nobody is beating you, you know? And these guys have a talent to get semi-open 3-point shots. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'll share this kind of photo where they drubbed Michigan on their senior day yesterday. Made them look foolish. But yeah, let me know. Do you think there's any validity, if you're an Illinois fan, of thinking that your team might go far this tournament, even though it's not your not your best team ever? Let me know. I feel like there's always this one team that just gets hot at the right time. So I'm thinking it could be Illinois. Let me know who you think it might be.